Gemini, there is something about you that not everyone can see, and maybe it's something you yourself don't want anyone to see. Those moments when you miss someone so deeply your heart trembles, yet on the outside, you act as if nothing has ever happened. I know you. I know the way you smile softly to cover a wave shaking beneath your chest. I know the way you pretend to be carefree, pretend to be busy, pretend not to care, while inside, every memory returns like a film you can't turn off. You think no one notices, right? But that silence of yours reveals everything. The universe always has a way of exposing what the heart tries to hide. And today, I'm going to tell you about the things you do when you miss someone, the things you think no one sees, but that echo like whispers through your energy. This isn't just an astrological analysis. This is a conversation between two souls. Gemini, a space where you don't have to be clever, don't have to avoid anything, don't have to use your smile to cover the real trembling inside you. You just need to be yourself, and let me guide you into the emotional space you've kept locked for so long. Because you know, Gemini doesn't miss loudly. You miss through thoughts, through your mind, through the conversations you replay in your head dozens of times and then erase again. You miss someone not because they're perfect, but because they make your mind and your heart vibrate in two different rhythms, the rhythm of logic and the rhythm of emotion, and you're afraid of which one will reveal itself first. If you're watching this and you feel this energy matches you, leave me a gentle sign, so I know you're here with me. Just comment, I feel the Gemini energy. Don't hesitate to like the video. And if you want to continue this journey of healing, understanding, and reflecting through cosmic energy, you can subscribe to the channel right now. We still have so much to talk about. Now, prepare yourself a warm cup of tea or your favorite coffee. Sit down, take a breath, and let me tell you the real story of how a Gemini behaves when they miss someone. Part 1. The Gemini Mask and the truth about the longing they never admit. Gemini, you are someone who makes the whole world believe that you don't easily get attached, and even more, that no one can easily shake your heart. You have the ability to step out with a bright smile, witty words, and captivating stories, as if everything in your life is running smoothly. People look at you and think, Gemini is strong, light-hearted, easygoing, nothing can really trouble them. But they don't know that behind that mask is a chaotic inner world where just the slightest touch from the person you miss can send every thought spinning. Gemini's longing is unlike any other sign. You don't sob, you don't break down, you don't sink into emotional silence, and you definitely don't let anyone notice that even the smallest shift from that person is enough to make your mind vibrate like a tightly stretched string. You choose to turn longing into thoughts, then thoughts into analysis, then analysis into confusing, roundabout behavior. And so, even when you're quiet, even when you pretend to be unbothered, your energy becomes turbulent, like a whirlwind. A Gemini can be talking to someone, but part of your mind always drifts back to one specific name. You can post, laugh, share funny stories, but deep inside, you're wondering whether that person saw it, whether they noticed, whether they picked up on the hidden message you're too afraid to say out loud. And the painful part is, you hide this so well, no one knows. You are a master at pretending everything is fine. You act normal flawlessly. You stay busy as if life is pulling you far away. You open endless conversations, endless social connections, but when night falls, when only silence remains, and your phone's screen lights up your face, your mind opens like 100 browser tabs running at once. Each tab is a question without an answer. Are they thinking about me? Why did they watch my story but not message me? If I text them, will it be too sudden? Why does just one person make me this confused? Gemini, you are smart, quick-witted, adaptable. But when facing longing, even you cannot escape the emotional spirals. The truth is, you observe that person more than you want to admit. Just one profile picture change, one vague caption, or one emoji from them, and you immediately read dozens of possibilities in your mind. Not because you're obsessed, but because Gemini loves through intellectual connection. And when someone reaches that level of connection with you, forgetting them becomes nearly impossible. Yet instead of saying it clearly, instead of admitting that you miss someone so much your mind trembles, you choose silence. You choose a smile. You choose to pretend nothing special is happening inside you. You don't want anyone to see your softness. You don't want anyone to see your uncertainty. And you especially don't want that person to know that just their name is enough to distract you all day. But you know, sometimes that silence is the biggest confession, because when a Gemini truly doesn't care, they would never think this much. If this part feels too accurate, if it sounds like someone is reading the words you've been keeping hidden, leave me a message so I know you're here. I feel the Gemini energy. Like the video, subscribe to the channel so we can continue this journey of self-reflection. A journey I truly believe Gemini needs, especially during the moments when your heart is running faster than your mind. When you're ready, we'll move on to the next part, where I'll tell you exactly what Gemini does when longing begins to slip out of control. Part 2. The signature behaviors Gemini shows when they miss someone. Chaos, curiosity, and intentional distraction. Gemini. Not many people know this, but when you miss someone, you don't simply miss them. You enter a very specific emotional state where your heart and your mind operate in two completely different directions, like two opposite currents flowing through your body. One side pulls you toward intense emotion, urging you to express, to reach out, to get closer. But the other side is cold, rational, reminding you to keep your distance. And this tug-of-war is what makes Gemini's longing more complicated than any other sign. If people could see inside you at this moment, they would see two versions of Gemini coexisting. One version thinking, I want to text them right now. Another version holding you back. No, don't. They'll know you still care. And so you stand in that in-between space where you feel the longing the clearest, but have no idea where to put it. The interesting thing is that when Gemini misses someone, you shift into one of two modes: emotional overload or complete emotional freeze. When you're overwhelmed with emotion, you become frighteningly perceptive. You notice every tiny sign, every shift in their energy, their eyes, their tone, how long they take to reply, or even their silence. Everything becomes a message you try to decode. When you freeze, you become more social than usual. You open more conversations, act easygoing, stay busy, sometimes even a bit cold. Not because you don't feel anything, but because you're afraid you'll feel too much. And there's something very Gemini that only those who truly understand you know. You always reread old messages. Not because you're stuck, not because you're living in the past, but because you want to revisit the moments when your heart once opened the words, the laughter, the subtle hints you two used to share. You reread them not to relive memories, but to ask yourself, why did things change? What made us drift apart? You want to message them, you really do. You want to ask something simple like, how have you been? But you type and delete. delete, and type. And in the end, you send nothing. Not because you don't dare, but because you're afraid to send something they no longer want to receive. Gemini also fills themselves with many conversations. You engage with this person, reply to that person, sometimes even try to open your heart to someone new. But only you know. All those conversations are just noise, a layer of sound covering the one empty space you don't want anyone to see. Because your mind, no matter how busy, still returns to one person. The person who distracts you even when you're trying to focus. The person you say you've moved on from, but deep down, you never really let go. And then, when the longing grows too big to hold inside, Gemini starts sending indirect signals. Subtle, delicate, and only noticeable to someone who truly pays attention. A story with a sad song, as if by coincidence. A quote that's half true, half joking, as if posted for fun. A pretty picture, but your eyes hold a hint of emptiness. A reflective caption that you claim is just something random. But inside, you know you're hoping they see it, hoping they understand, hoping they respond with the tiniest action, a story view, an online status, a short message. Just one small sign is enough for your heart to light up instantly. And finally, the most defining behavior of Gemini, when you miss someone, you check their social media like you're reading a cosmic code. You don't look at pictures or captions literally. You read between the lines. You feel their energy. You see who interacts with them, who appears with them, who they respond to more. You ask yourself whether they're truly happy or just pretending to be strong the way you do. Not because you're jealous, not because you want control, but because Gemini always seeks the truth. And you read the truth through the subtlest signs. None of these behaviors are visible to anyone. No one knows you're doing them. And you will never admit it. But you know clearly. This is how Gemini loves, through the mind and through an unquenchable curiosity. If this part makes your heart ache because it's too accurate, leave a gentle message. I feel the Gemini energy. Like the video and subscribe so we can continue exploring the deepest layers of your emotions. This journey is long, and I'll be here to guide you all the way to the place where the Gemini heart has been trying so hard to hide. Part 3. The 3 Gemini groups and their 3 different types of longing. Gemini. Not all Geminis miss someone in the same way. Depending on your birth date, your energy carries different tones, and because of that, your longing also takes on unique forms. Some Geminis miss in silence, some miss in chaos, and some miss as if they're being pulled backward into a memory they can't escape. Each group has its own emotional cut, something so specific that only someone truly perceptive would notice. And the special thing is, though different, all 3 groups share one thing in common. They will never admit they're missing someone. Let's see which group you belong to and what your longing looks like. Gemini group. 1 May 21, May 31. The intelligently disguised longing, calm outside, turbulent inside. 1 6 dot, re dot, 2 prusting. Geminis born at the end of May carry the strongest intellectual energy in the sign. You tend to use your mind to replace your heart whenever emotions become hard to control. When you miss someone, you don't let your heart lead, you let your logic hide everything. You act like you don't care. You talk normally. You joke. Stay light-hearted, even a little cold. From the outside, no one would think you're missing someone, to the point your thoughts are spinning. But inside, you analyze everything to the point you exhaust yourself. Why did they disappear? What did they mean when they said that? Do they still feel anything? You don't hurt in a sad, emotional way. You hurt through curiosity, the kind that wears you out, because you can't stand the lack of information, lack of answers, lack of clarity. To you, longing isn't just emotion, it's an unsolved equation that keeps you circling endlessly. But you still act strong. You still say things like, "It's fine, everything's okay," when in reality, you're scanning every detail from that person like you're analyzing a secret star map. This is the intelligently disguised type of longing, where the heart aches, but the mind must appear calm to protect a bit of pride. Gemini group 2, June 1, June 10. The escapist longing, too busy to feel anything. This is the group of Geminis who fear emotions the most. When you miss someone, the first thing you do is run. Run into work. Run into friends. Run into laughter. You text more people. Open more conversations. Do everything to keep your mind from falling into silence, because the moment things get quiet, you will hear your own heart speaking. You make everything loud, so you don't have to face what's really happening inside you. You stay so busy that others think you've forgotten that person completely. But you haven't. You're just avoiding feelings that are too deep, too real, and too overwhelming for you to handle. For this group, longing becomes a type of emotional avoidance. You reply to messages faster. You smile more than usual. You talk as if nothing is weighing on you. But when night comes, when there's no noise left to cling to, your heart still calls the same name. You don't dare face your longing because you know that if you do, you'll fall into emotional depth you don't know how to navigate. Gemini groupe 3, June 11, June 20 et 1. The mental émotionnel, loop endless, replays. This is the most emotional group of all Geminis. Your heart is sensitive, deep, and easily affected, even though you pretend to be carefree. When you miss someone, you don't just miss. You get pulled into a whirlwind of memories you can't escape. You replay everything. Old conversations, moments that made your heart flutter, words that disappointed you, the looks that made you forget the world. You reopen pictures. You reread chats. You listen to the songs you once shared. You ask yourself, why aren't they here anymore? This group doesn't miss lightly. You miss with your entire mind and soul, a soft but persistent kind of emotional obsession. You pretend you're fine, but inside is a wave of emotions you carry alone, because you think no one would understand. You don't speak about it. You don't demand anything, but you hurt deeply, a silent, profound pain that sometimes makes you believe you're still not ready to let them go. Your longing is like a song stuck on replay. No matter how many times you try to change the track, it always returns to the same familiar melody. Gemini, which group did you see yourself in? If a part of this touched exactly what you're feeling, leave a gentle message so I know you're still here with me. I feel the Gemini energy. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because the next part will dive into the root cause of why Gemini fears being loved more and missing someone more than anyone else. Your journey is unfolding, and I'm right here to walk it with you. Part 4, Gemini's deepest hidden fear. Being the one who loves more. Gemini, there is something about you that almost no one understands, because you hide it so well, beneath your intelligence, your openness, and your carefree exterior. People often think you're the easy to love, easy to forget Zodiac sign, that you're flexible, airy, and able to walk away from a connection as lightly as a passing breeze. But the truth is the complete opposite. You're not afraid of love. You're afraid of loving more than the other person. That fear is the root of every emotional spiral you go through. It quietly lies beneath your smiles, your conversations, your jokes, all the ways you avoid the real question. If I open my heart for real, will they cherish it? Gemini is an air sign, flexible, clever, free, but your heart is softer than anyone imagines. You don't fall in love easily, but when you do, you love with a level of connection that few people understand. You love with your mind, your heart, and your endless curiosity for a soul that moves you. And because you love in such a deep way, you easily fall into the fear that the other person might not feel as deeply as you do. You're afraid you'll become more serious than they are. You're afraid you'll care more. You're afraid you'll miss them every night, while to them, you're just one small piece in their wide world. And this fear makes you hold back every time your heart wants to take a step forward. You restrain your emotions. You soothe yourself with logic. You remind yourself, don't let them know. I can't let them see me weaken. There were moments when you wanted to send a genuine message. Moments when you wanted to say you miss them so much your mind can't sit still. But you stopped yourself right before pressing send. You imagined every worst scenario. They won't reply. They'll be distant. They won't care anymore. And instead of letting yourself feel that pain, you chose the safer route. Silence. Gemini doesn't run from love. You run from the feeling that you're the only one trying. Your greatest fear isn't losing someone. It's letting them see that your heart is giving more than you want to admit. And so you start building a very Gemini kind of wall, a layer of humor to soften questions that cut too deep, a layer of intelligence to shift the topic when emotions get too serious, a layer of sociability so people think you don't place them too high in your heart, a layer of pretend freedom to hide the truth that you're terrified of getting hurt. But Gemini, those walls are turning you into a prisoner of your own longing. You're lonely in your feelings because you don't give anyone a chance to come close. You hurt alone because you don't want anyone to see your vulnerable side. You miss them so deeply it aches. Yet you pretend to be as carefree as the wind. And so you become an untouchable version of yourself, not because you're cold, but because you fear that if anyone touches you, all those protective layers will fall away, and your tenderness will be exposed. The universe knows this. People who have loved a Gemini deeply know this. Only you pretend not to know. You don't dare move toward the person you miss, not because you don't want to, but because you're afraid they won't move toward you. You don't dare speak the truth, not because you lack courage, but because you fear that truth will hurt even more. You don't dare let them see your heart trembling because you're afraid it'll cost you a piece of your freedom, the piece you always use to protect yourself. But Gemini, the truth is, love doesn't take away freedom. It expands it. It makes you deeper, not smaller. It makes you stronger, not weaker. And the fear of loving more than the other person? That's only a reflection of old wounds, the lessons you still haven't healed from. You're not afraid of loving too much. You're afraid of loving the wrong person. Afraid of choosing someone who doesn't see your true worth. Afraid of meeting someone who only appreciates your joyful side, but lacks the patience to see the emotional depth you hide. But you deserve a love that doesn't require you to pretend to be carefree. You deserve someone who doesn't make you fear loving too much. You deserve a connection where both of you walk toward each other, no one has to step back to protect their heart. If this part makes you feel seen, understood, touched, leave a gentle message. I feel the Gemini energy. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because the next part will take you even deeper. The true reason Gemini hides their longing, and how you can free your heart from protective layers you don't need to carry anymore. Part 5. How Gemini can heal their longing. Honesty, slowing down, and listening to the heart. Gemini, you've walked with me through this entire journey of looking deeply into the layers of emotion you've been avoiding for so long. Now it's time to talk about the most important part. Not the longing, not your behaviors, not the things you hide, but how you can truly heal yourself. Because no matter how smart, witty, or quick you are, there are moments when no amount of knowledge can save you from the emptiness that quietly slips into your heart. And what heals you isn't waking up and forgetting, nor is it trying to stay even busier. Healing comes from facing, being honest, and allowing yourself to slow down. Gemini, the first thing you need to do is acknowledge your feelings. Not to someone else, but to yourself. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to pretend to be carefree. You don't have to use your mind to suffocate your heart. Tell yourself one simple sentence. You've always been afraid to say, "I miss that person." That's it. It doesn't diminish your value. It doesn't make you weak. It just makes you honest. The second thing you need to learn is to say what you want to say without circling around it. Gemini often turns one simple feeling into hundreds of thoughts, then turns those thoughts into countless scenarios, all just to avoid the truth. You want to reconnect, and instead of 100 indirect messages like, "How have you been lately? Do you remember that place? Listen to this song, it's really good," you could simply say, "I've been thinking about you." If they respond, you'll know your heart isn't alone. If they don't, then you receive the clarity you've needed. So you don't have to chain yourself to endless assumptions anymore. Gemini, you're so intelligent that sometimes you hurt yourself by reading too deeply into signals that were never sent. You imagine meanings behind every story, every caption, every view. You analyze every silence. But the truth is, most of the things you're interpreting are just reflections of the fear inside you. That's why the third step is crucial. If they don't respond, release gently. Not because you're not good enough, not because you don't deserve love, but because you deserve someone who doesn't make you live inside hundreds of unanswered questions. You don't need a love that exhausts you. You don't need a connection that confuses you. You don't need a relationship that makes you feel like you're always chasing. You need someone who walks toward you at the same pace. Someone who doesn't make you wonder, "Do they miss me?" Someone who sees you not just the joyful version, but also the tender version you always hide. The fourth step in your healing journey, and the essence of Gemini, is investing in yourself. You don't heal by standing still. You heal through new experiences. You heal through new knowledge. You heal through perspectives that expand your mind. When hurt, Gemini reads more, learns more, explores more, and that's exactly how you transform pain into growth. Try reading that healing book you've always wanted to read, starting a new skill, going somewhere you've never gone before, writing down everything you want to release, spending time with people who make you laugh from the heart. Remember, you're not a cold zodiac sign. You're one of the most sensitive souls. You just disguise that sensitivity with humor and wit. The universe always has a reason for letting someone leave your life. Not to take something away, but to return you to yourself. To remind you that love isn't a playground for masks. It's a place where the heart feels safe, being exactly what it is. Gemini, now is the time for you to step out of the fog of longing and listen to your heart again this time. Not with fear, but with growth and gratitude. If this part made you feel lighter, more understood, or made you feel like your healing time has come, leave a message. I feel the Gemini energy. And like the video, subscribe to the channel so we can continue exploring the softest, deepest layers of your soul. Finally, if you're brave enough, share in the comments. Who are you missing? No name, no details, just the truth. Because that is always the first step to freeing the Gemini heart. Gemini, if you've stayed until the very last moments of this video, it tells me something important. You don't just want to understand your emotions, you're truly trying to heal them. And that is the most beautiful thing about you. No matter how many thoughts are running through your mind, you always seek truth, essence, and the answers that help you grow. And the greatest lesson you can take from today's journey is this: longing isn't something to run from, it's something to listen to. When you dare to face it, to name it, to acknowledge it, it no longer controls you. When you allow yourself to pause, to slow down, to listen to your heart, you finally understand what is meant to stay and what is meant to be released. You've learned that Gemini's sharp mind is sometimes the very thing that makes you hurt yourself. Not everyone you miss is worthy of your peace. One simple message can free you from weeks of overthinking. And sometimes, silence is the answer you need to move forward. But most importantly, you realize you deserve a love that never requires you to hide who you really are. If this video helped you see yourself more clearly, feel lighter, or take even one step forward in your healing journey, leave a comment below to mark your transformation. I choose healing. I choose clarity. I choose healing. I choose lie. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the messages the universe is sending to Gemini in the chapters ahead. Gemini, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to step into your complex but incredibly beautiful inner world. We will meet again in the next videos, where every word, every message, every moment is crafted just for you. Remember, you are not just a Gemini. You are a light learning to understand itself. See you in the next video.